Hello there, good morning. My name is Magnus Klofsten. Sorry not being able to travel to Budapest for this conference, but I hope that you can hear me from Sweden here now. I was actually visiting this room for about 2 weeks ago, and it was a very nice ISP conference. A little bit about myself. I finished my PhD in 1992. I wrote about startups actually, and the result of that PhD became a book in the end that has been used widely in Europe when it comes to incubator management and startup processes and so on, where we're using the business platform model as a tool for supporting early career entrepreneurs. 1993, I started the Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship, where we started the first entrepreneurship program and entrepreneurship school and growth programs for those firms spinning out of our university in Linköping. I became full professor of innovation entrepreneurship 2001. And since 6-7 years, I've been also head of the division in industrial management. That was a brief CV of myself. Today, we're going to focus on things. One thing that I've been studying a lot over the years, it's the entrepreneurial university and the specific thing in that concept that I call the intrapreneurial university or academic entrepreneurship. I was really enjoying listening to the former speakers and also, I mean, what Professor Peng talked about, the early career of researchers and advice for that, really nice, and also the patent discussion here just recently. I think both these speeches are very linked to this the issue about the entrepreneur university. What I will focus on here on the 20 minutes is the following. I will say something about the concepts of the entrepreneurial and intrapreneurial universities. I will look at activities, actors, and processes linked to this. I will bring up things around entrepreneurial impact. And of course, in the end, I will draw some conclusion out of this. When you're speaking about something, you need to define it. And of course, this is you can't find an exact definition of entrepreneurial university. This is from a paper I wrote together with some colleagues for some few years ago. But if you're looking at the research on this field, it has been going on since the late 90s. And one very famous paper is from Burton Clark on entrepreneurial universities and academic entrepreneurship in 1998. But since then, I think the research on this phenomenon has exploded. And I think today we have at least 20 special issues done and hundreds of papers, maybe thousands of papers about this phenomenon. So the entrepreneurial universities is something that is really interesting for all type of leaders of the university. I don't think any rector or vice chancellor today will say no to the academic entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial university, because it's a way of including and collaborating and making impact out to your research and teaching. To be very brief, but here you see here what I wrote, and I think many people will underline on that. Common activities within the entrepreneurial university ecosystem is these, and I think the first three is something you could directly connect with the entrepreneurial university. We are talking about business incubation, acceleration, where you have office space and different support mechanisms for students and researchers and other type of faculty that are carrying ideas. Not really patents. These are more for people with firm ideas or venture ideas that could be something in the future. We have, of course, entrepreneurship education training. We have today in Linköping University about 500 students taking entrepreneurship in different forms. We try to integrate entrepreneurship within the courses, and we don't really believe in master courses in entrepreneurship. I think it's much better to integrate them into existing courses, all the faculties, medical, technical, philosophical, and also teaching college. And of course, we have technology transfer and commercialization, and here we have different types of activities going on to, for instance, running the patent processes and support research with ideas in different forms. And of course, we have networking, access to funding, advisory services, events and competitions, and so on that could enhance the whole idea about the entrepreneurial university. Common actors, we talked a bit about that earlier here, but here are some very important actors in this process. Without these actors, no entrepreneurial activities going on. And we have what we call university sub-organizations. It looks a bit different to university to university. Most universities, I think, will be just true. You have GTO offices or entrepreneurship centers or innovation centers or offices, whatever you call them, but with the same mission to utilize and make ideas fly from research into reality. Then we have academics and researchers and, of course, students. I mean, sometimes I have a feeling that we don't think the students are so important in this. I would say it's totally different. I mean, we have hundreds of spin-off firms from Linköping University over the years. Most of them are done by university students. Okay, the researchers are, of course, very, very important here, because without their research and support of students, etc., there will be nothing coming out. But in the reality, when it comes to startups, growing ventures, and so on, I think 95% of all the ventures we have from Linköping University that have been really materialized over the years are started by students. So I think it's very important to say that. We have incubators and accelerators. I don't really know if it's a big difference between incubators and accelerators, but it's concepts we hear often when it comes to supporting entrepreneurship with ideas. And we have at the Linköping University, of course, an incubator called LEAD, which is one of the nice incubators in Sweden. We're producing a lot of new ventures there. And of course, we have all these external stakeholders, public agencies, in the industrial partners, and so on. And when it comes to the Swedish system, I think when it comes to running different research projects and so on, being engaged, almost impossible to get research funding if you don't have a clear external stakeholder strategy, where you so say, interact with partners and so on in your research project. You have to show that in your application, and also that something's going on during the research project. So you have to have this to become a successful researcher in the field. Okay, here is a model that we developed in the Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship for many years ago. It has been really successful, and the thinking behind is, I think it makes sense for us when we're dealing with startups and growing firms. I think the most important thing when you're looking at new ventures and ideas is the maturity process of the idea and also the people involved, the team behind. And that is what we try to say here in this model. And we developed 5 concepts that we used over many years, and we created hundreds of spin-off firms. We started with some kind of networking activities, social activities, where all type of entrepreneurs with different ideas, different stages, etc., could meet and interact. It could be breakfast meetings, it could be social events in the evening, or talks or whatever. And we had 4 different programs, or at least 3. And one was the entrepreneurship program, where we hook on to those students and research with ideas. And we're running a program for half a year, and they basically took the idea from a very, as I say, simple thought to something that could be anchored on the market and get some funding, and other people hooked onto the idea to develop the venture. And then we had also 2 other programs aimed for those who have to start. I mean, firms that are growing and become something. And this is this number 2 program. The growth program was very, very successful. Hundreds of firms in different stages grew up and became mentored by senior advisors and consulting in our research center. So this is one way of thinking. I think not to use the same training and activities for all of them. I mean, you have to link them to the maturity level of their idea and their situation as an entrepreneur, so to say. When it comes to the Intrapreneurial University, this is something I think I've been talking about, but not really clear over the years. I see it myself around that first of all, it's very important that we have this entrepreneurial thinking within the university, because this is a prerequisite for being an entrepreneurial. And this is a very overlooked phenomenon, at least research-wise. I think managers and other people within the university have been thinking about that for many, many years. But as a study field, this is not really old, I would say. And this 24 paper here is actually one of the first special issues. It was in Innovation, focusing on the entrepreneurial university. It's overlooked, and why it is like that, I think when you're speaking to people, they don't think they are entrepreneurs if you don't start a new venture. But you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to start venture to become an entrepreneur. You can be a very intrapreneurial or entrepreneur academics remaining in the system. And that is the key, because I think many researchers are doing very entrepreneurial things, but it doesn't have only being developed into a new venture. It could be also other things. I will come to that a bit later. Entrepreneurial academics, not so far away from traditional entrepreneurship, they exploit ideas and opportunities that can create meaning and value in their academic work and future careers. So they're remaining in the university, they're using these terms to make a career internally. They remain in the higher academic environment and adding value for the university. And also, they are intermediaries within the university, and they're creating also something that should be highlighted is the internal ecosystem, not just the external ecosystem, but the internal ecosystem of different people, decision makers, and other type of sub-organization in the university. So the entrepreneurial academics is actually an entrepreneur, but within the academic system, remaining in the system. This is a model that we developed in this special issue that was published last year, and try to explain the future research areas of Entrepreneurial University. If I take some of them, for instance, entrepreneurial pathways, that means that there are many, many different ways of being entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial. You can start a new venture, of course, as we talked about. You can be a patenting person. You can be a very entrepreneurial teacher, starting new schemes, teaching schemes, new courses, etc. You can also start new research centers where you very nicely interact with the external ecosystem, etc., etc. So there's many different pathways you can use for being entrepreneurial. Now we have the internal external ecosystem, of course, that is very important for the process, and also the entrepreneurial teaching and learning, which is a mindset and a process of actually being an academic as a teacher and researcher. For instance, you don't have to teach an entrepreneurship to be an entrepreneurial teacher. You can teach mathematics or physics or whatever, and be an entrepreneurial or entrepreneurial academic. You know? So this is very important to have. It's a behavior that should be supported within the university, embracing all of the colleagues within the university. And of course, we have the entrepreneurial measures. How should we measure this to be able to adjust and develop ourselves, etc.? And here we have, of course, sort of interesting ideas, things you can measure, maybe number of ideas or number of things happening, but also the soft issues when it comes to motivations and mindset and collaborations and so on. I don't have a notebook of this, you know, but I think we need to be able to measure this if you're going to have a meaningful process. So this is one model for explaining the entrepreneurial university in a way. So what could the outcomes be? I've already mentioned some of them, but I, in a more systematic way, try to explain these three different types of say outcomes. I've been, as a professor, been involved in starting new research centers over the past 25 years. And it's like starting a new venture. You have to have an idea, you have to have stakeholders, you have to have resources, you have to be able to build an organization, etc. It's exactly the same as you're doing when you're starting a startup. So here we are mentioning, for instance, Stanford Research Institute, and also the Helix Research Center that I was involved in myself over 15 years at the Linköping University. We accumulated a research funding of 30 million euros, and where the industry and partnership also contribute to 1/3. So I think research centers is a very clear impact of the entrepreneurial university. We have, of course, the teaching side, educational tracks and programs. Of course, I'm sure that Óbudai University could list a lot of interesting things here, but I just took some example I've been connected to. MIT Digital Transformation Program. It's very, very entrepreneurial activity, and of course, in our university we have the environmental technology program, equipping students with tools to tackle global challenges and so on. They're extremely popular to be involved there as a student. We also were first in Sweden and maybe in Scandinavia when it comes to combining engineering and business administration in a new program started in 1976. It was called E-linjen, or industrial economy. That became a really, really interesting and attractive program. And after that, basically all universities really copied that concept. And today is one of the most sought, from student side, sought programs in the university curriculum. And then, of course, we have other things. We have innovation and incubator labs, you have many different examples, and you have Cambridge Enterprise supporting students and researchers. And this university, we have the lead incubator, helping students and staff to realize the ideas. And behind here, we have a lot of people internal at the university involved in this and creating this. I think basically all universities in Sweden has an incubator, and it's a part of this Vinnova, so-called Vinnova National Incubator Program, that is the sort of co-creation network. I can speak about that for many hours because I've been one of the evaluators of that program for the past 15 years. But this is one thing also that should be mentioned. Of course, it could be a long list of outcomes from the Intrapreneurial University, but I try to put the fingers on something very, very important here and to be underlined, I think. Some conclusions. I have listed 3 at least here, and I can just read them. Academic entrepreneurship drives internal innovation by supporting a culture within the university that encourages faculty and staff to develop new ideas, programs, and research initiatives. And as I said, the Intrapreneurial University is a prerequisite for being an entrepreneurial university. Number 2, integrating entrepreneurial principles within the university bridges academia and industry, strengthening collaborations, enhancing knowledge transfer, and supporting partnerships that generate economic and social impact. And finally, also by supporting entrepreneurship, universities cultivate entrepreneurial mindset among students and staff, and researchers, equipping them with creativity, initiative, and problem-solving skills needed in the broader economy. So I think this is the main conclusions we draw from this special issue. We had 11 papers in this special issue. It was really interesting case studies from Chalmers University in South Sweden. We had from Imperial in London. We had Bologna. We had a couple of papers also from US. And brought together, I think it was 60 researchers altogether that was contributing with their papers into the special issue. And it was a really, really vibrant development over these 2 years we had this special issue. To be a little bit egoistic here, I'm showing papers that we have been talking about here in my presentation, but also that you can download if you want to. We had this paper from Engsel and et al. Just recently, where I have a case study on the Helix Center and showing how that could be academic entrepreneurial act, is published in Triple Journal. Then we have two very, very early papers, 96 and 2000. And this 2000 is one of those cited papers, actually, about academic entrepreneurship, where we try to develop the constructs, a very, very early way of developing the constructs behind the Entrepreneurial University. Where of course patenting was one of the constructs, but also other things that is special to this academic entrepreneurship. And then we have these final 2 special issues from 24 and 2019 that has been really well cited in a very short period of time, drawing attention to the things that we have been talking to here at my speech. So basically, that is what I tried to say. And maybe there are some questions that could be brought up here.
Thank you very much. I'm looking at the students again, the audience. If there are any questions, yes.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. And my question is because when you start the entrepreneurial world, it's commonly stand phrases like get out of the building or fail fast but try fast. But I think the academic research is different. For example, the first speaker here talked about the batch research like 5 years or 10 years. And my question is how we can equilibrate this balance between the lean startup philosophy and the academic research for developing new startups or new business.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about here. It's a very good question. And I don't know where to start. I mean, first of all, as you say, an academic PhD student or a research career, in more to say later research career, don't really normally identify themselves as entrepreneurs, you know. And that's what I try to say here, that you can still be an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, a researcher, teacher. And I don't know if you are a PhD student or if you are an academic in a more senior way. I was running a PhD course, Entrepreneurship Theory and Practice, for about 15 to 16 years here at the Linköping University. I had about 250 PhD students attending. And it seems to that it is a big interest from the internal academic system to become entrepreneurial in a way that you are finding new ideas, maybe utilization of ideas in the end, etc. But also that within the PhD process, it is actually about collaboration, taking an idea into something more clear, etc. So the whole PhD process or the whole academic system as a career process is an entrepreneurial process and should be seen as that, I think, from my point of view. Because when you're finishing a PhD, I don't know how it is in the Hungarian system, but it's not automatically that you get a job. You have to find things to take the next step. And I think one thing is that you should also be able to attract funding and attract stakeholder network and so on. And all this is about entrepreneurship. To be an academic entrepreneur, you know, it is actually to have the ability to attract funding, attract stakeholders, to take out research ideas, convert them into papers, and communicate with the audience. You know, if you can't do that, your chance at the academic in your academic career, you know. So that is what I'm encouraging the PhD students to start collaborating. The arena for doing a PhD, for instance, is much bigger than your room, you know. So thinking entrepreneurial, getting entrepreneurial mindset into the PhD students and the research career, I think it's crucial. I don't know if I understand, if I answer your question, but I try to at least make clear what I meant in the beginning.
Thank you. Response? No. Okay. Thank you very much. And maybe one more question. We have time for one more question. Okay, very good. I'm coming.
I can just say something. I mean, I don't know who's sitting in the audience. I can see you, but I can't see who you are. But I would say that if you are PhD students, maybe you are maybe PhD students, I think it is an overlooked group in the university when it comes to academic entrepreneurship. We have 1,200 PhD students at Linköping University, and it is the biggest research community within the university. I think if you can reach the PhD students, create the entrepreneurial mindset, etc., they will be the future researchers in the university, decision makers. It's so much want on this, you know. So what I try to say. Right.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for your presentation. My question would be, can you give us some examples or good practices you and your universities, your university use to encourage your students to come up with new ideas?
Yes, we have many different things. We have, first of all, entrepreneurship courses where students meeting entrepreneurship, and they are very practical in its construction, you know, where we give them tools. We are also inviting entrepreneurs into the classroom, giving their ways, giving advice, etc. If you have an idea as a student, okay, you can approach me if you want to, but we have also activities We have something we call entrepreneurship in residence, where you as a student can meet the incubator very early, and it doesn't cost anything. You have an office space. You can get access to coaches and also some funding to be able to develop your idea. And then when you have shown that you have something and you have, say, up to a certain level, you can be a normal incubator attendant and be getting even more, say, support for your idea. So there are many different, we have courses, we have training programs, we have networking activities, a lot of things connected to both the science part here at Linköping, but also the incubator and also within the university. So I think it's many different things we have here. It's not unusual at all. I think most of the universities, they have infrastructures like this. Very good questions.
So, thank you very much. And I think that we have to move on. So big applause to Professor Klofsten.